Hello and welcome. I'm Gargi Rawat. You're watching me on youtube.com/NDTV, the site to go to for all the videos, all the shows from NDTV. Now, every day we ask you, the viewers, what are the stories, what are the news stories that you want to know more about, you feel we should be playing up more, and we offer you the top 5 stories of the day. And let's just take a look at the top 5 stories today. In UP town singed by CAA violence, 48 get bail, and that seems to be the top story. This is in Bijnor, where the judge had some scathing words for the UP police as they weren't able to offer any evidence against those people who were arrested during the anti-CAA protest which took place in December. Hate speech MPs to reply to the poll body today. This is Union Minister Anurag Thakur and BJP MP from Delhi Parvesh Verma. After they made hate speeches, Anurag Thakur during a rally exhorted the crowd to shoot the traitors, while Parvesh Verma in an interview to ANI actually spoke about how today the people who are protesting at Shaheen Bagh, tomorrow they will enter your homes and rape your daughters. So both these leaders were served notice by the Election Commission. They've already been asked by the Election Commission that has asked the BJP to drop them from the list of the campaigners for Delhi. So today they have to give their replies to the Election Commission. Also, a last-minute pleas by the Nirbhaya convicts in the top court. It really seems that the 1st of February hanging of the 4 Nirbhaya convicts is not going to take place because for the moment they're exhausting all the sort of legal avenues, remedies available to them. The big story yesterday that was trending on social media was regarding stand-up comedian Kunal Kamra being grounded. This is after he heckled, or some would call roasted, a news anchor on a flight. And after that, the aviation minister actually asked all airlines to ban him. Indigo was the first because it was on an Indigo flight that it happened. And then 3 others rushed to ban him, and he's been banned for 6 months. And by others, they haven't really given a timeline, but he's been banned from flying. But questions have arisen, firstly, about how the aviation minister asked for this banning over, a news anchor being heckled. And then also the fact that were the rules followed, because the DGCA lays down a certain guideline on how to deal with an unruly passenger, and you have to form a committee, and the committee has to take a decision, and before that, while you wait for that committee's decision, the person can be banned, but for not more than 30 days. So that's something that's very interesting. Also, the coronavirus outbreak, and 170 people have now died in China, and thousands have been affected, and now China's richest person, Jack Ma, has given $14 million for the study, for research for a vaccine for the coronavirus. So let's get you details of the top story. Bijnor was one of the towns that was affected by the violence that took place during the anti-CAA protests that were taking place in December. In fact, 2 people were also killed in that violence in Bijnor. And now 2 days ago, the judge who was looking into the case of all the allegations against those accused actually had very scathing comments for the police, because he said, you've not been able to provide any proof of any of the allegations that you have made. And the judge said that, the police have claimed that the mob vandalized private government vehicles, indulged in arson in shops, but you haven't provided any evidence to this effect. Police report about damage to one government vehicle has been presented, but the report was prepared at least 20 days after the alleged incident was said to have taken place. He also, the judge talked about how the police say in their FIR that the mob fired at the cops, but no evidence has been presented in court to show any recovery of any weapons. And the government lawyers have failed to produce any evidence in court that shows anyone part of the mob fired at the police. So these were the various allegations. Remember, a lot has been said about how the police in UP dealt with the anti-CAA protests and whether they came down very hard. Why is it that only in UP we saw so much violence and clashes and over 20 people also being killed? In Lucknow already, several of the activists who were arrested and spent 3 weeks in jail were all let go on bail because there's no evidence against them. And now we're seeing a repeat in Bijnor where 48 people were all granted bail because the judge said there was just no evidence. Besides the examples I've given you, the judge also said the government's lawyers claim that 13 policemen sustained injuries in the incident, but medical reports of all these people suggest the injuries are of a very minor nature. And so the 48 people being granted bail in the case. And the court had called for counter reports, but the prosecution could not show any evidence. The police said that the mob fired but could not present evidence. This is what the lawyer for those accused say. Has said. They said vehicles were smashed but could not produce any number plates of these vehicles. The prosecution failed to prove that any such incident. It was all fabricated by the police. That's what the lawyer for some of the accused in Bijnor had to say regarding the violence that has taken place and the fact that no evidence could be presented by the UP police. Now, the other big story is the coronavirus outbreak and the number of people who've been killed due to the coronavirus that has emerged from Wuhan. It's called a novel coronavirus, and that number has now jumped to 170. So that is the other big story that we're tracking, and also a controversy over this entire matter, because at a time when the world is dealing with this outbreak of the coronavirus, the Ministry of Ayush has actually given out an advisory asking people to use homoeopathic medicine and Ayurvedic medicine for treating of the coronavirus, and this has led to a lot of people criticizing this move online, because a lot of the doctors have questioned this. They've said that this is very dangerous, to advise people to rely on homeopathy at a time when the world is struggling to actually find some sort of a vaccination for the coronavirus. As we said, Jack Ma has given millions of dollars for the research to find a vaccine for the coronavirus. But meanwhile, the Ministry of Ayush that promotes Ayurveda and homeopathy, etc., they have put out an advisory which actually talks about taking particular medicines on particular days on empty stomachs and how this can protect you from the coronavirus. So many medical practitioners and healthcare experts are aghast at this kind of advice being given by the government, by an official government handle. And they've actually said that this is actually a dangerous advice that is being given out by the ministry. Now, the other big story, as we said, was Kunal Kamra and the ban against him. And this is after he had actually heckled a news anchor on a flight. This was a flight from Mumbai to Lucknow, where he approached the passenger, and he actually he launches into a speech against him where he challenges him to talk, and the anchor Arnab Goswami stays absolutely quiet, does not respond, and Kunal Kamra can be heard, it's a roast. Heckling would perhaps be overstating it, because he just goes on and on talking at him. But there's no response from Arnab, and this was posted by Kunal Kamra later, and it actually led to Indigo then tweeting that we have decided to ban this person for 6 months. Fine, it was an Indigo flight, and that could be their decision. But then you had the Minister of Aviation, Mr. Puri, also tweeting saying that I ask all other airlines to also, do the same. And then you had SpiceJet, you had Air and you had Go Air, all banning Kunal Kamra from flying, and some for indefinite periods as well. And this led to a lot of questions being raised, because according to guidelines that are there before the DGCA, when there's an unruly passenger, firstly, there has to be a complaint. Then the airline has to set up a committee that was going to look into the matter, and that has to happen within 30 days. And then the committee is supposed to go into whether the passenger and what he did and how much of a disturbance did it cause. And in the meantime, if the airline wants to still, before the committee rules on its findings or gives its decision, if the airline wants to ban the passenger, they can, but not for more than 30 days, not for a period of more than 30 days. Now, was this followed? It doesn't seem like it was. It doesn't seem Indigo set up any sort of committee. Also, the levels of, and of course, the other airlines just followed the minister's advice. And so this has also led to a lot of questions about how the minister asked airlines to do this, and they all, tried to fall in line and quickly put out bans against an individual who is somebody who has often been very critical of the Indian government. He's been critical of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the past. So this action is being questioned, and also the level of his unruliness, or the reason a person can face a no-fly ban. There are various levels. The first level is if you create some sort of verbal issue, which is what Kunal Kamra did, because he was talking to Arnab and he was being rude to Arnab while he was recording that video, and that can have a ban of 3 months. According to the rules. And the next level is if you create some sort of physical ruckus in which you create, you push somebody or you get into some sort of physical altercation, and that is a 6-month ban. And then, of course, it's like if you actually do endanger passengers, or you do something that is very grievous or very dangerous for the flight, and that can lead to a ban of up to 2 years as well. So that is the other big controversy right now. But many people, of course, also supporting this ban on Kunal Kamra. Many also talking about how they don't agree with the way he heckled Arnab Goswami or invaded his personal space. But the real controversy is how the airlines jumped to do the government's bidding without any due process. And does this mean tomorrow, if the government decides to ask for a ban against some other individual, any journalist, anyone, that would it mean the airlines just fall into line without doing any sort of investigation or due process? Well, that's all the time I have for you. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.